What's up, yo? This is your iPad Pro talking about anything and everything about the iPad Pro. And today, Procreate just released their update for the M1 iPad Pro. So I'm very excited to test that out. I'm going to compare it with my old 2017 iPad Pro with 4 gigs of RAM. And it's going up against the new M1 iPad Pro with 16 gigs of RAM. I know in the first video that I showed you a 512GB version with just 8 gigs of RAM, but after 3 days, I felt like I wanted all that headroom and future-proofing. So I went ahead and went back to the Apple Store and replaced it with this 1TB silver 16 gig iPad Pro. Unfortunately, on Mac Rumors, I read today that the iPad is being restricted to only use 5 gigs of RAM. So, was I wrong in exchanging my 8 gig M1 iPad for this 16 gig version? If it's not going to be using even half of that memory, we're gonna have to wait until WWDC in a couple of weeks to see what Apple has in store for us. But right now, that's not good news. For me, that is a major bummer because I upgraded to the 16 gig RAM, so I have enough headroom and space to work on large canvases on Procreate. But we're going to take a look at that later and see how much of an improvement it really is compared to my 2017 iPad Pro, which has 4 gigs of RAM. Maybe this will help you out if you still haven't decided on getting the new M1 iPad Pro. But yeah, let's take a look.
Okay, so we both have the iPads right here. Both have the new Procreate update. This is the 2017 10.5 inch 256 gig 4 gig RAM, and this is the new 11 inch M1 with 1TB and 16 gigs of RAM. The old one is running an A10X processor. This is running the new M1 processor. So let's see how different it is and how it performs. How we're gonna do that is by checking the canvas size. That is the best way to gauge the use of the RAM with Procreate. So let's check this out. With the old iPad Pro 10.5, let's make a new canvas. Let's make a new canvas here too with the new one. Okay. So right now, I always try to do 24 inches by 36 inches with 300 dpi canvas on Procreate. But as you can see, both says that it's too large. It can't handle it. So 24 by 36 is a pretty huge canvas, and at 300 dpi, I don't think you need it if it's going to be that big, but for me, that's the ultimate test. I wanted to do 24 by 36 with 300 dpi. That's not a problem with Photoshop at all, especially on the desktop. So I was kind of hoping that the new M1 iPad Pro with 16 gigs would be able to handle it, but I guess not. It's not really a limitation of the machine itself, but it's the limitation of the OS and what Apple is willing to give us, the consumers and the developers. Okay, so we have 24 by 36 on both of these, but they won't take 300 dpi. Let's try 275, which is pretty good enough for me. And as you can see, this one, the old iPad Pro, will take 4 layers of 24 by 36, and the new one, even with 3 times the RAM, would only give me 8 layers. So that is not exactly what I signed up for. I got the 1TB with 16 gigs of RAM because I wanted at least 3 times the amount of layers, but as you can see, it's just double. It's a bit of a bummer considering this is a 4-year upgrade between these two iPads. Okay, so we're gonna try one more size that I like using, and it's going to be 18 by 24. Let's put that at 300 dpi. Okay, so in the old iPad Pro, 18 by 24 inches, 300 dpi. We are getting 9 layers with the 2017 iPad Pro, which has 4 gigs of RAM. And with the new M1 iPad Pro with 16 gigs of RAM with the same size, we are getting 17 layers. It's not even twice as much as the old iPad Pro. So what's really going on here? We just updated Procreate and it works fantastic on the new M1 iPad Pro. It seems like we are very limited with the amount of RAM that we can actually use on the new M1 iPad Pros. So we're going to check out this article that came out today on Mac Rumors, saying exactly what's going on with the RAM on the new iPad Pros. Okay, so this is one of the first articles I saw today on Mac Rumors, and it says apps reportedly limited to maximum of 5 gigs of RAM in iPad OS, even with the 16 gigs M1 iPad Pro. I don't understand why this is. I bought the new M1 iPad Pro specifically with 16 gigs of RAM to use with Procreate, and it's only giving me 5 gigs of RAM. Should I have stayed with the 8 gigs of RAM? If you're still on the fence about which one to buy, you should definitely consider this, or wait until WWDC in a couple of weeks to see if Apple plans on doing anything. If they decide not to give us the whole 16 gigs of RAM available, or if they don't allow us to utilize the whole power of the new M1 iPad Pros, is it worth it? No, I don't think so. That is a $400 upgrade from the 512 gigabytes with 8 gigs of RAM to the 1 terabyte with 16 gigs of RAM. We can't even just decide on increasing the RAM or increasing the storage. It's both. At this point, with this kind of limitation, that is not worth it. That's really bad. So, a little bit disappointing, but all is not lost because there's still a couple of weeks to go before Apple makes any big announcements. So, I replaced the iPad 3 days after initially getting it. So by the time WWDC comes out, this will be in the 14-day return period. So we'll see what Apple has plans for it and see if it's gonna go back and replace it back again with the 8 gig iPad Pro and get my money back. So I love Procreate. I love doing as much work as I can on the iPad Pro. But if Apple is not gonna give us the full power of the iPad Pro, I don't know if this is a keeper or if you should go ahead and buy one. At this point, the entry-level M1 iPad Pros would be great, but we'll see. There's still some hope that Apple will fix this and give the consumers what they deserve.
Thank you guys for watching this video. This is your iPad Pro, talking about anything and everything about the iPad Pro. So if you like this video, hit that like button, and if you want to see some more, hit subscribe. Peace.